Hi, my name is Meredith, and I am the creator of Our World with Meredith. And today I am here to do a little interview. So, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Alaini Cossette, and I'm an ecologist.
And then, was there a specific moment that sparked your passion for environmentalism?
I don't know if there was a specific moment, but I grew up in a family of outdoor enthusiasts. My mom's a big gardener, and
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I've been gardening with my mom since I was a little tyke. And then also, yeah, I come from a family of dairy farmers as well, and so I just feel a love for animals and that all kind of just was kind of instilled in me from a very young age. And I went through a brief stint where I thought I might want to go into the medical field. I kind of went into college thinking, I want to be in ecology, something with that. And then everyone around me was kind of in the pre-med route, and I was like, oh, maybe I need to do that. But then I made my way back to ecology by the end, and I think that was definitely the right move for me.
Yeah.
So.
And then, can you tell me what it means to be an environmental consultant and your path to becoming one?
Yes. So it's a little bit hard to explain, but essentially environmental consultants are biologists, ecologists, sometimes engineers, kind of anyone with, you could just have an environmental science background. But we essentially get hired by our clients. We help our clients typically are developers of some kind. So in my line of work, I mostly work with renewable energy companies, so wind and solar developers. And they hire us to essentially help them comply with all of the relevant and legal, environmental laws and regulations related to building a wind or solar farm.
Yeah.
And then we also help them to build it in the most environmentally responsible way possible. So we help them essentially reduce and sometimes eliminate negative impacts from that development. And it's really kind of, you're right on the cutting edge of where industry meets, environmental issues. And I think that's really cool. That's something that I guess related to the path of becoming one, I went to the University of St. Thomas, got my undergrad in biology, and I minored in chemistry. That was kind of, I don't use that a ton anymore now, but I started with I got involved with some research at St. Thomas, and I started with freshwater turtle research. One of the professors at St. Thomas was doing research on wood turtles in Michigan, and that was kind of my first field season and really got me going. And then, that really kind of sparked my passion because it was just so fun. One of the coolest jobs I've ever had. And then after that, I went on to get my graduate degree in conservation biology, and I continued with freshwater turtle research through those 2 years. So my background is in turtle research, which is kind of fun. Cool. I used to, me and a friend of mine that kind of did it all together, we kind of got similar opportunities. We were referred to as the turtle girls for a long time.
That's so cute. That's every little girl's dream. Yeah. Work with turtles.
Yep. And so, I worked with several different species. I actually have a couple of them tattooed on me because they're very close to my heart. But anyway, back to the point, I guess, is that one thing I noticed kind of through my education was that I think our biggest challenge as scientists is telling the story and making sure that the public is understanding what we do and why it's important. And I think scientists are notoriously bad at that. Yeah. A lot of times you publish a paper and you're writing in these crazy words and people are like, I don't want to read that. So I think we need to, that was just something I noticed. It's none of this matters unless we can get this across to the public. And so I was really drawn or wanted to find something that felt very meaningful and impactful in real world issues now. And so that's kind of why I decided I wanted to not stay in the kind of academic world. I didn't want to become a professor. I didn't know anything about consulting until after I graduated, but I happened to kind of fall into it, and I've really enjoyed my time. So I feel like I'm doing something good every day.
That's awesome.
So I just feel like a good thing.
This is actually a perfect segue into my next question, which is what is a harmful and so preventable environmental trend that you've noticed kind of in your entire time in this line of work? And then what message would you want to share with the public about how they can combat it?
Yeah, I think this is a hard one. I was thinking about this one a lot, and I feel like I have multiple answers. But one that I think I want to highlight that I think a lot of people don't know about is so Minnesota used to be covered in tall grass prairie.
Yep.
And we only have about 1% of that prairie left today. And in Minnesota, it's especially imperiled, but even throughout kind of the entire occurrence of tallgrass prairie and native grasslands kind of all throughout the U.S. It's like the most endangered ecosystem in the world. People talk about coral reefs, people talk about, all these other issues, but people don't really talk about the fact that we've lost so many of our prairies. And prairies are just so important for so many different things. Wildlife, pollinators. They have incredibly deep root systems, and they store tons and tons of carbon in those root systems. And since we, have kind of destroyed a lot of that, we don't have that benefit is not happening, and those ecosystem services aren't happening anymore. And so I think that's it's not necessarily preventable. We can't, stop those prairies from being removed or built over or farmed. A lot of it was from farming. But 2020 is the decade of restoration. It's been kind of like dubbed that by the scientific community. And so I think that one of the biggest things and one of the most important things, and something I'm super passionate about, is trying to restore native ecosystems as much as we can, with the understanding that you can't totally get rid of invasive species. You can manage them, right? It's really hard to eradicate. That's also something that's very challenging. But I think that, I think that's probably one of the biggest things, and one of the things I'm the most passionate about is our prairies, and kind of raising awareness of why they're so important, and why people should restore and plant natives in their yards. Even all of that is super important, and all of it helps. The other thing I was gonna say is that I do feel like in a world where we're getting a lot of negative environmental news all the time, and there's a lot of kind of alarmism and kind of fear spreading out there about climate change, and all of that stuff is really important, and we do want to get those messages out there. I think too, it's important to focus on the good things and the positive things that are happening too, because if we're just constantly thinking about, we're doomed, no one's going to want to do anything to try to help it, and we're definitely not doomed. Like we have lots of people like me and so many of my coworkers who are just working every day to try to help with green energy and all these things. And I think there's just a lot that we can do as individuals, and there's a lot that we can do with our through our votes, and just I think just trying to be positive as much as possible, and not getting so down on environmental issues, because there's definitely things we can do, and it's people like you and like me, and that are trying to make that happen. So
well, you kind of already touched on this, but my last question to end off this on a positive note is, what is one thing or something that just makes you hopeful and excited about our future?
I think Gen Z.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, I have a ton of hope. I was talking about my younger sister. She's just about your age, and she also kind of wants to go into ecology and in the environmental field. And I just think that, with Gen Z is grown up in the information age. You guys have all the information. I don't know. When I was in high school, I still was pretty sheltered and wasn't really exposed to a lot of these issues. So I just feel like that's such a strength that Gen Z has. And I feel like, our youth is the future. And I'm very excited to see what your generation does. And I think that's really the main thing.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was so nice talking with you.
Nice to talk to you as well.